I mean, it wasn't a question, but how many of us have? Land law is small c conservative. If you think about it, that makes perfect sense, because law is there to provide enduring interest in property. So, of course, the impetus in the law is going to be to keep things the way that they are, so conserve things the way they are. As a result, we can see that women who have historically considered the property of their husbands are now underestimated as owners of property in their own right. There are no regions in England where the average home to rent is affordable for a woman on median earnings. And among men, the average home to rent is affordable in every region except London and the South East. Women need 12 times their annual salary to be able to buy a home in England, whereas men need just over 8 times. So that is the statistics. And now onto the substance of the law a little bit more. For men, home is often seen as their castle, the haven from a heartless world. He has control over things, but for women, the home can often be a place of oppression arising from the domestic and emotional labour they have to carry out in the home. It also might be a place of danger to them. Think Helen and Rob. The UK government didn't even begin to police domestic violence until 1976, when it passed the Domestic Violence and Matrimonial Procedures Act, and this reflects an attitude that the state has no interest in what goes on in the home. So as an example of property rights being able to exclude the protection of the state for example, women who might be suffering domestic violence. I should have said this at the beginning of the talk, but in England, nobody actually owns land. You just own a bundle of rights, which is larger or smaller depending on the estate you have in the land. So the superior bundle of rights is actually home ownership, and then you go down the scale to leases, all the way through to licenses, which are just personal contracts. So in this way, land law can actually allow one person who has a superior bundle of rights to control the behaviour of another person. This can either be by requiring good behaviour of you, which is most relevant to social tenants, but you can also see it in the story of the Grundys. So they were tenant farmers, not social tenants, but a combination of misfortune and poor management of the land eventually led to them being evicted from the land. So that's a sort of way in which their status as tenants meant that they had to behave in a certain way in order to keep their homes, whereas as Nicola was saying about the Aldridges, they had to behave really, really, really badly in order to be placed in a financial situation, at which point they still had a choice about which bit of land to sell. So they had capital to get themselves out of the hole that they were in, they still retained quite a lot of their land, and they were able to have an animated family debate about which bit of land to sell. This, again, has a disproportionate impact on women, because women are overrepresented in social housing and they're much less likely to be homeowners. So the people who own land have much more ability to control the behaviour of women. The second part of this is why Lillian should marry Justin and why it's good sense of courtesy to be marrying Philip. Because if you get married, divorce law will start from a 50-50 split, and there is a specific way of resolving financial disputes after separation. Whereas if you are cohabiting, there is no such thing as a common law marriage in the UK, and despite consultation from the Law Commission on this, there is no mechanism for resolving disputes apart from the common law device of constructive trusts. Now, trusts come from the feudal system originally, so when a knight or any other landowner in the landholder in the feudal system would go off on crusade or whatever, then they would, their neighbour or, I don't know, another knight, their friend, would hold the property on trust for them, which meant that the ownership remained with the person who had left, but the person who had stayed behind had certain obligations to look after the land, to make sure that it kept going and, I don't know, made a profit. That's the current obligation with the trust, is to administer the property for the benefit of the beneficiary. So this feudal device is now used as a way to impose control. So Peggy's Ambridge Conservation Trust is an example of her using money to effectively control the behaviour of the people who she's giving the money to. So they have to use it for the goals of the trust. And it's the same with land. And a constructive trust is what happens where, for example, if the man is the sole legal owner of the house, the court can still say, the woman has this percentage share in the property after they've split. It's constructive trust, so that percentage of the value of the house belongs to the woman. Now, why this is a problem for women is because the courts have historically completely dismissed any non-financial contributions to the house. So there is one case in particular where the couple lived together for, I think, 15 years. The woman completely renovated the house and the garden by herself, including breaking up concrete slabs in the garden, and she raised their children. But unfortunately, because the man had been the only one bringing in money and paying the mortgage, she was held to have no interest in the house at all. Things have improved slightly since then with the cases of Sackendale and Jones and Turnip, but it's still not great because even though the courts formally consider any financial contribution to the mortgage and they will try and take into account the entire cost of the couple's marriage, generally, if you're a mother that's chosen to stay at home and look after the children, then it's a problem for you because the courts will basically dismiss what you've put into the house and the marriage. Therefore, the law favours married couples over cohabiting couples. So, Silly Lillian, who I doubt is bringing very much financially into that particular non-marriage.
Was a barmaid.
Okay, wow. She did actually, Lillian does have magical outside properties, which requires her to do literally no work. Which is just another example of the power of land. Finally, I will just say very, very quickly, my second headline point was that land law doesn't just reinforce the gender divide, it reinforces the class divide. And we've already touched on this briefly with the, for example, Grundy's dependence on, or Ed Grundy's dependence on Oliver Sterling, which is great for Ed, but it does have a whiff of noblesse oblige about it, because if Ed does something that displeases Oliver sufficiently, or if the Grundys do something that displeases Oliver sufficiently, then their tenancy at Grange Farm will end. So that makes them much more precarious, and it leaves Oliver with all the power. I think I will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. We're going to play around with the schedule a little bit to try and catch up some time. So we'll take a 15-minute break now for tea and coffee, have a walk around. I should say as well, I know these seats can pinch a bit, so if at any point you need to just get up and walk around when somebody's talking, just do, please make this your home for the day. So we'll come back here in about 10-15 minutes.